I want to say good morning, but because we are digital, you could be watching it in any part of the world. So, well, good evening, good night, good afternoon, good morning. I don't know what beverage is in your cup, but here we've got some coffee. Hello, I'm Gaurav Kapoor. Welcome to Cricket Buzz Live. We, of course, have the second ODI of this three-match series that's happening in Adelaide today. I have with me two dapper gentlemen, mere bhai, mere jigar ke tukde, Mr. Zahir Khan, Mr. Ajay Jadeja. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jiggy.
So happy that it's 1 hour later today, no? From the last one.
makes a huge difference, isn't
Makes
it?
a huge difference. There's so much more traffic. It makes it so much more interesting to get to the studio. I think I'm happier with the 7:50 starts, right? Indian team. Are they going to be happy with what has happened today? Well, not exactly, because Aaron Finch is going to be batting first. Their team's going to be batting first. What everyone has been calling that's what you'd want to do in a place like Adelaide. Heat being one major factor. How much of a factor is it? The gentleman shall explain.
Can be a factor. We've seen in hot and humid conditions, you have to be extra careful. The physio trainer will go around a couple of days prior to the match itself, saying that how to manage yourself, how to make sure that you're not cramping in the game time. That's something which is very important. So there are means of dealing with that. So I'm sure at this level you would expect everyone has done their homework and they're game ready at the moment.
Well, it seems very strange to Indian fans when you say, oh, Indians are having trouble with the heat, but it's slightly different there, right?
Yeah, it is different because the heat is different. It's much drier. I personally, I was happier when it was humid, because when you run around on the field, because this is still only 3.5 hours, or even if a 6-hour game. And when you run around for a while, you sweat a bit, and then at least when the breeze or not the breeze in the air, but when you run, you get that little cooling down effect. When it's this dry heat, it just soaks your energy out, and the outfields in Australia are not easy. I think that's a big difference. I always felt, and we talked about this the other day about Khalil, that it's sand based.
Yeah.
So the heat's coming from the bottom, the air is, and they say the ozone. I'm not too sure.
It's depleting the ozone layer. We're killing it.
No, and in Australia, the sun rays are much harder. They hit you much harder. You get sunburn.
Closer to the pole, that's why.
Could be. I don't know.
I don't know. I just said it because it is.
It is much hotter out there, and it's not easy. And that's one of the reasons that you want to bat first.
Okay.
Because you bat first. The opposition, the 11 players have been in the field for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
No matter how fit you are, look, when you start any day, you are as fresh as you are, and then depends on how long can you sustain it, depends on your fitness.
Yeah.
So even if you are super fit, 3.5 hours later, you won't be at your peak that you would be at the morning. And mostly when you have old batsmen in your side, people who are aging, they don't like to field for 3.5 hours and then go and bat for 3 hours or 2.5 hours. So old batsmen or people who are getting on with their age they always prefer to bat.
Aram, let's keep some fuel in the tank when we go out. You, of course, battled that really well. I remember in Kochi in a game once, it was, I think, 150 degrees or something. Kochi, and you got this little towel thingy you had done, right? Neck towel or something.
Because,
that's why you need it.
And people at home would also realize, when you have fever, what do we do?
Yeah.
हमारे हिंदी में तो देसी में तो वही है ना, बर्फ का वो पोता करते हो आप, कि थोड़ा सा गीला किया, सर पे लगाया, उससे टेम्परेचर डाउन होता है. So this area is where the heat hits you the most. So if you can keep this part of your body cool, it cools the whole body down.
Yeah.
So there used to be a thing called, I forget what was
coolant.
it?
They used to use that coolant which stays cool.
Not the motorcycle wala coolant.
No.
This is the aadmi wala coolant.
Some technology which they used to use, which used to stay cool for about 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
And then you just again dip it in ice water and it will again be cool, and then you can manage yourself through that heat.
Nice.
But it's individual choice anyway.
We got to sell this in Delhi in the summer, yeah? Just
become
billionaires overnight. Well, let's have a look at the Indian 11. Of course, Australia is going to be batting first, but both Australia and India both gone unchanged. India going unchanged, one change. Mohammad Siraj is coming for Khalil. No surprises there again. I think both of you called this the other day. You were saying
we were expecting one change, and if at all there was going to be any change, it was going to be this. So whether you wanted to continue with Khalil and give him more confidence, or you're saying that okay, if the last game had gone India's way, probably you wouldn't have seen any change. Yeah. But now because the game has not gone India's way, they're looking at filling the areas which they felt was area of concern.
Yeah, I mean, you speak about Bhuvi, you speak about Bumrah, and you're going forward. And I don't want to say World Cup because we're still, you know,
A long way.
10 ODIs at least away from that, and that's a half a lifetime. But is that you've got a Bhuvi and a Bumrah? Those are the names that you write down in your 11 when you're playing an ODI. Bumrah, of course, being rested for this one. Is there a problem of who your third is right now? Is there a lot of choice? Maybe India management is not being able to figure out who they really want to back, because one game and then dropping, getting Siraj in can also feel unfair to some people.
Yeah, it does. I mean, not just for Khalil, for anybody. I mean, when you go into a series, forget about, as you said, the World Cup, but you've gone into a series playing an 11, you believe that these are your best 11.
Yeah.
And overnight, you're not going to make that decision. I felt that when I saw the last game, as Khalil at the last few overs when he was running or chasing a ball, he didn't look, strong enough when he was running behind the ball. And that's why I felt that this could happen. Whereas it's an opportunity for Shiraz as well. I mean, you haven't seen him.
Yeah.
So I think if looking forward, and we may think differently, but what we hear from the management all the time is that they're still looking at combinations that they can come up with.
Yeah.
So they're still experimenting. But I think it's a bit too late to be experimenting.
Yeah.
No, it's time to settle down, in the sense that not that play the same 11. The third seamer for me has always depended not on the quality of seamer that he is. The third seamer should always be dependent on what stage is he going to bowl at, who's going to be bowling with.
Yeah.
So you may have a bowler who's better than the other guy, but he may not be used in that particular way.
So interesting.
See,
Like you think with batsmen in positions,
yes,
bowler also think position.
bowler is always position, except
Yeah.
the Mohammad Shami, I feel, is one of the finest bowlers, even for a one-day game. But you got to get him to bowl his overs before the 35th over is over.
Yeah.
Because that's his natural length, that's his comfortable length, and that's where his potency is maximum. So you try and get him to bowl in the slog and get Bumrah to bowl in the middle, although Bumrah would do that as well at the moment, but it won't be as effective. So you try and find a combination what works best for you and helps the other four guys as well. So in that case, I don't think we found the third seamer as yet.
Ah, interesting. Let's ask the first seamer, who has been the first seamer for many games. What do
I
you
think
about this?
the positions are very important, how we're going to use a particular bowler. And Shami has been back in the side only for one reason, that he's got that control over length. But I'm fully agreeing with Ajay on the point that Shami's overs should be finished before 40 overs. That's something which has been a concern area for him. He has been leaking runs in the last 10. But if you look at his first spell and the second spell has always been spot on and economical. So that's something which we've seen with Australian team as well. In the first match, Barendorf finished his overs around 37 overs.
Yeah.
So you can stack up the overs in that fashion where you get the maximum out of a bowler. Like when you look at Bhuvneshwar Kumar, you'd always see that his strength has been swing. So you have to use him up front. There is no point using Bhuvneshwar Kumar after 10 overs. So then you're actually taking him away from his strength areas. So that's something which we've seen with Indian team trying to experiment, because when Bumrah is back, he's going to bowl with new ball. Bhuvneshwar is probably going to be part of the playing 11 and will be bowling with a new ball. So you are looking at bowler who can come after 10 overs, control those middle overs along with your spinners, so that you can use and rotate the spinners as well in the middle overs. So that's something which has been the thought process. Whether they've found the answers or no, because we've been seeing all these changes, that's something which is very clear that they're still looking at that position.
I really like that point, because I don't think I've heard this before. Like, you need a proper middle overs bowler, because if all the bowlers have a strength of bowling up front, तो बाद में कौन डालेगा? डालने तो 50 हैं.
Or conditions, I mean, we're going to be here in New Zealand series. I think New Zealand, the third seamer actually makes more difference in a game than the first couple of seamers.
Yeah.
Because the first 10, 12 overs go the same mostly around the world.
Yeah.
But in conditions in New Zealand, the third seamer who's going to bowl from 10 to 25, 35, that's the most crucial stage.
Yeah.
So if Shami carries on, I have no doubts that at the end of the New Zealand series, everybody's going to say, oh, Shami should be your number one bowler here.
Yeah.
Because his length, his natural length and his line that he bowls is the most effective length there.
Yeah.
So conditions also matter, who you play, when you play. but it's how you use them. I keep going back to that. It's the captain's game.
It's the captain's game. Well, Shami, of course, did very well in the Australia-New Zealand World Cup that happened in 2015. So he obviously likes these conditions. He likes playing at these grounds, and well, he seems to be getting it right. Who is not getting it right? Well, it's the Australian captain, Aaron Finch. Now, Aaron Finch has been troubled in the Test series. Let's look at their 11. Of course, their 11 going in unchanged because, hey, if it ain't broke, why fix it? They've won the first game of the series against favourites India. They've not won. I mean, last year with their ODI team, they could have won. They could have bought all the lottery tickets and still not won the lottery. They couldn't win anything. But these guys, they've really got it together in the previous game. But let's talk about Finch for just a second. Finch troubled again in the last game. Now, my question to you is, psychologically speaking, for a player. Now, for Victoria, it's been very clear. The coach, the management there has said Finch bats at 5. Finch is naturally playing at that. They've insisted on opening with him in the Test match, obviously with no success. Can that puncture the confidence of even an experienced player like Aaron Finch?
Well, I think the answer is pretty simple. You know, you got to approach the game. You've seen Finch batting at number 1, 2 most of the time.
Yeah, with that's where cricket. Yeah,
that's where he has created maximum impact, because he's someone who, once he's in, can really play those big shots. He plays spin very well. So that's something which if you ask him, he would say that 1, 2, 3 are the best positions.
For him, for white
any
ball,
batsman,
clearly,
I think when he's playing shorter format, the best chance of success is on those numbers. So he would want to continue at that number. At the moment, he's definitely low on confidence, and the ball coming back into him has been troubling him right throughout his career. So that's something, that phase he has to see it through, and once he sees that phase through, once the ball stops swinging a bit, I think he can do maximum damage. So that's something which I feel, I think, you know, this game you got to be watchful of Finch. It doesn't matter what he has been doing in the past, but when you look at the toss as well, you know, winning the first as a captain, winning the first match, even if you're low on confidence, suddenly you have that boost of confidence when you are going in the game. So today's game, I think, is looking very confident than the previous game.
Yeah.
So I would not rule out the possibility that any batsman is just 1 innings away from form.
Yeah, and Aaron Finch, if he gets his 1 innings, considering what he's done, 2 150 plus scores in T20s.
Yeah.
So you know with white ball he's dangerous. But Ajay, can that happen sometimes as a batsman? You're low on confidence. You've been in a different format. In red ball cricket, you've been made to play in a position you're not comfortable with. Then you come back to your zone. Like
He's done it right
ball.
for
Huh?
6 to 5 to 1 to
Yeah, you know, with white ball is his zone, right? And suddenly in that first game, he seemed like when you try to grip the water too hard, no, and then it just all leaks out. थोड़ा ऐसा लग रहा था उसमें.
बिल्कुल, आई थिंक स्ट्रगल ये क्या है, और जैक ने बड़ा अच्छा बोला कि अंदर जब बॉल आती है उनको तकलीफ होती है. होता क्या है कि हम किसी प्लेयर को देखते हैं और नंबर्स देखते हैं और पास देखते हैं. कई बार क्या होता है कि किसी सीरीज में सामने वाली टीम के पास ऐसा बॉलर ही नहीं होता. So what has happened in this case is, you know, either there's Bumrah who's bringing it back into you. Yeah. Now Bhuvi is also bringing it, because in fact there are times that the bowler is struggling to take it away. I feel, you know, at the moment you don't see the ball going away from, sorry, not Bumrah, Bhuvneshwar Kumar. His ball actually isn't going away because of whatever the reason. It's only coming back, and which is ideal for Finch. Yeah. You know, Virender Sehwag, I can remember, as one man. Bowlers would be scared to bowl at him. You know, somebody like Dale Steyn, who everybody fears facing. Viru used to be happier, you know, playing him rather than somebody who's much slower and but brings it back into him. So each person has a problem with a certain kind of delivery. At the moment, he's struggling with bowlers who are actually only bowling those deliveries.
Yeah.
You open today with, say, Shami and keep Bhuvneshwar Kumar back, Shami and somebody who's taking it away, Finch probably would be comfortable, and suddenly it'll look like, oh, he's in form.
Yeah.
So I think each player has a strength and a weakness somewhere. And at the moment, he's struggling with bowlers who are bowling to him, who are bringing it back. But as he said, couple of deliveries, you know, maybe you don't start off perfectly. You go down the leg side, he picks you up, couple of flicks. Suddenly the bowler changes his length, and you will see him back in form. So these are these little moments that, you know, change that confidence that you're talking about. But when you're a player of that ability and class and caliber, you should be capable enough to, you know, adjust to those little situations. Hashim Amla was a good example. Last year, when Bhuvneshwar Kumar was troubling him in South Africa, what did he do? He started standing outside the off stump.
Yeah.
So these are little adjustments that you need to do. which I don't think Finch is that kind of a man. He's, the Australian, he's going to take it a hard way.
Yeah.
He's a Sanjay Manjrekar of India. So, like how Sanjay is, he would fight it out. He would not say, why should I adjust? I don't have a weakness.
Yeah.
I get that feeling from when I see Finch.
Yeah, why should I adjust? I'm not going to move. He must move.
Yeah.
But sometimes be like Hashim Amla. So that's why they say Amla is very good for health. Very good for health. Okay, who's not good for the bowler's health? Two guys we have in India, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. Now, if one of them gets going, obviously they're in trouble. If both get going, then, well, bowlers just want to go back into the pavilion. They don't want to come out anymore. And how these two been doing, look at their numbers actually. And it's very interesting, their form leading up to it. And Rohit, of course, was brilliant in the last game. Just couldn't do it alone at that time. If you're looking at January 15th, so we're looking at 4 years going back, almost similar. Well, there you go, right? I mean, it's almost similar. You've got pretty much neck and neck. And you look at this and you're just going, as an Indian fan, I'm so happy they're both playing for India.
Yeah, you're blessed. I think we're blessed to be watching them together. And at that period, that team is blessed to have two guys like this. I mean, you look at those numbers, 1700s each, 1450s and a 1550s. So it's like every third game they're getting 100. I mean, it's unheard of in the past. Yes, of course, the game has changed, the numbers are changing. But every third game, if you have your top three getting 100, you couldn't be asking for more, except if you're a batsman number 6, 7 and 8, because you don't get in then.
Yeah.
And when you get in 10 for 3, then it's different.
Correct.
So I think we've been blessed, and Rohit Sharma probably is getting the accolades, or people are realizing that he's also such a great player now, because unfortunately most people look at numbers and look at a player and say whether he was a good player or great player. Rohit Sharma had a tough period in his start of his career. He wasn't batting at top of the order, he was batting at 5, 6, 7. There were times that people were even considering, why is he playing? The whole conversation used to be around, like how this morning's papers are. It's about Dhoni, what is Dhoni?
Yeah.
So Rohit Sharma was that man 5 years ago. Suddenly when he bats at number 4, his numbers are equal to Virat Kohli, and Virat Kohli is considered as the greatest of all time. A lot of people have gone on to say that, also believe that. So here's a man who's matching him for ball to ball, run to run, 100 to 100, but is not put into that same category because he had a pass to clear up first.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, I mean, it's tough to say, but I actually would much rather have Rohit Sharma. I watch him,
He's
not watch him as an opposition.
But here's the thing,
but as a fan.
As a fan, I completely understand, because
as an opposition, I don't want Kohli to get in, because if Kohli gets in, he'll make sure he'll finish the game.
Yeah.
Rohit does that as well. But I still feel as an opposition, Rohit will give me a chance.
Yeah.
I think that's the only difference I see. But the flip side of that is that when Rohit Sharma gets in, then he will hit me no matter where he wants to hit.
Sir, you know what the difference is? All artists are slightly flawed and all robots are perfect. Virat Kohli is your robot. Perfect. Yeah? And Rohit Sharma is an artist. That's the difference.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. But we have the artist and the robot, so we're very happy. And they both get going, then of course there'll be no problem. Adelaide, the average scores, they're saying it about, in the last 10 games is almost about 240, 250, which is a very deceiving.
That's a surprising number, isn't it? You would expect that the number will be higher here.
Exactly,
probably,
because smaller ground
from
as well.
SCG for sure, because Adelaide is known to be batting paradise. You have spinners doing well at Adelaide. Spinners always look forward to go and play on that surface. But yes, it is a bit confusing number. 244, and especially in the current scenario. When you're playing ODIs, you're always talking about 280, 290, get past 300. But I think here you have to be watchful. Just because of the history of the game and the nature of the wicket as well.
Yeah.
Bowling first, you always know what kind of target you're chasing, so that's an advantage when it comes to playing on a pitch like this, which is a bit tricky. But having said that, it's always about ticking all those boxes when you're bowling first. You got to start well. You got to get those early wickets, set the tone for the match. Middle phase is going to be crucial, and more you do well in these phases, easier it gets at the back end.
Yeah.
So I think for Indian team today at that 40 over mark, you would want probably 4 or 5 wickets by that time, so that those last 10 overs.
Six.
Okay, 6. Maxwell, you want in, or you want him out by then?
Maxwell should be out also. Last time we got Maxwell only 5 balls and he got 11 runs.
Because
You don't want to give him 50 balls.
that's only the area where in the last game probably you would say that Indian team could have done better, because they did most of the things right. It's just that last
8 overs were quite
to 10
leaky.
overs, I think, that's something which they have to really
7 was 80.
create that platform before they
You're so right about that, because last 7 overs, India in Sydney gave away 80 runs. So, which is what Zahir is warning against, that if you let Australia get to there in 42-43 with only 4 wickets down and even 5 wickets down with Maxi in, then you're looking down the same barrel again.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't want to give Australia that chance, because we've seen 288 last time was good enough. This ground anyway has a slightly lower average. So which means if they are getting close to 300, and God forbid if they get beyond 300, then for the Indian batters, it's a task. It is a mountain very high, and especially for the Indian middle order, because we've not spoken about that. But while India's 1, 2, 3 is gold, 4, 5, 6 is not at that standard yet. And I think that's fair enough to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Because 4, 5, 6, yes. Raidu may have got 100 in the last series, who is at one game. MS is, 15 years into his career, so that's not going to be the same. Then you got Ravindra, who's also not regularly been playing. Dinesh Karthik has done exceptionally well in that game, and when he won that game, but unfortunately he hasn't had a go since then. He hasn't he's batted at 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's no uncertainty there, and for players, as Zach would tell you better, I think bowlers also have a partnership that keeps going. You bowl from different ends. You figure out, acha, I've had a good over. Make sure that you don't give him a ball certain where you have. It's the same with the batsman, especially at 5, 6, and 7. You and your partner have to be in sync, and I don't think that partnership has also happened for a while, because if you are a bowler or if you're bowling against a batsman, only one of them is going to be hitting. You can get away with that. You bowl a certain ball and you keep him at the other end. But when both work together, it's different. So middle order hasn't been good. Late middle order, I would say. And it's mostly when you've lost wickets early.
Yeah.
You've not had a problem. Like Jack just said, if you get to 42nd, 43rd over Australia with only 4 wickets down and 2 guys set, then you'll get 80 out of 7 overs. But if you get to 42nd over with 7 wickets down and even whoever the best player in the world batting there, you won't get 80.
Correct.
So it's a combination, and I think that like with the opening pair of bowling, you need to have a pair there, and I don't see that pair anymore, because it's only Dhoni, a lone man, and then everybody's rotating around him. 2 games for Raidu, 2 for the X, 2 for Y, 2 for Z.
Jadhav. Yeah, somebody or the other. But bowling partnerships we talk about. Ashish Nehra and Zahir Khan partnership is still going on, even now, off the field.
Yeah.
It's carried on for a long time.
And they're bowling long spells these days, I can tell you that.
The bowler's got
That
to be
coffee's
prepared to
kicked in,
bowl long
Baji,
spells
hasn't
at a
it?
time.
No, it's not coffee. It's like this. These days, it's only this. Mic.
That's just the mic and back. When we talk about Dhoni, we've got a little walk down memory lane, because we really enjoy that, and of course we're all Dhoni fans, and there's a lot of talk about him. And this is Dhoni at Adelaide, and this is where today's game is being played. And of course, the previous 2 games that he played here, we had one on the 12th of February 2012, which was MS Dhoni 44 not out against Australia. And then there was one on the 14th of Feb, which was 2 days later, where he got 58 of 69 versus Sri Lanka. And that match was tied. You were in one of them. Were you there?
I was.
In these 2 games. You were in both these games, right?
Yes.
बताइए इसके बारे में. Tell us some memories from these games.
Well, I was probably next to bat, so that's something which I was nervous about, and that's why I like MS Dhoni, that he used to finish game very well. He never really put me in that hot spot there where it's the pressure is the highest. But look, those wins also, they're always special, and especially in Australia, because the conditions are not favoring you, and when you go there, and you have to take your time, and that's what MS has been doing very well. And that game, I remember McKay was the bowler, I think. He used to bowl really good back of the hand slower one. It was not easy to hit him, and to hit in Adelaide cricket ground at long on, long off is probably the toughest thing to do, and to win that match, MS hit a 6 to that slow one, which is so difficult, over long on, and that's something, that's the class of MS as well. He's got that power, he's got that strength to clear any boundary in the world. The longest boundary also he could clear it with ease.
We've seen enough sixes of MS Dhoni, we know. And the other day, if he hadn't got a bad decision, probably would have seen a few more. I'm just stuck on it. I'm stuck on it. That was a really shocker decision. And the fact that we have the technology available and it can't be used to stop such a howler, it's perplexing for me as a fan. But then we've been trying to find answers for what is the correct and optimal way to utilize DRS, and it's not really up to us. I mean, really, there's enough brains in cricketing administration who are trying to figure it out. Hopefully someday they will. It is a tricky one, I'll give them that much. Tricky, if we're talking about, don't get trickier than the joy factor, does it? Here on Crickbuzz Live. Gentlemen, are you ready? Flex your mental muscle.
Always, early in the morning.
Professor Bhattacharya has sent us this one. क्या मिसाइल छोड़ी है उन्होंने आज देखते हैं. If Kamaljeet Singh and Doda Ganesh are jointly third on a particular list and a current Bihar player is number 1, which Indian legend is at number 2, and what is this list about? What?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Sometimes you think that it's tricky and it could be really simple. Sometimes you think it's simple, it could be tricky. I think. Okay, I won't say anything. But I think I figured it out.
I've taken the screenshot. I'll understand the question in the meanwhile. Till the time you figure out.
I'll tell you.
Please repeat the question.
I'll tell you.
That's exactly
So
what
let
it
me decode. I'll decode the question for people. थोड़ा सा simplify कर देते हैं. There's a list. Number 1 currently is a Bihar player. Number 3 is Kamaljeet Singh. Number 4 is Doda Ganesh. Who's at number 2? So what you have to do is you have to figure out what this list is. 1 is a Bihar player, 3 and 4 we've told you. And once you figure that out, then number 2 should be easy to figure out.
I think it's something to do with number of wickets that in a season.
Is it Doda Ganesh that gave it away to you? Because if it's
No,
if
Kamaljeet
Doda Ganesh
Singh.
is on the list,
No,
it's
no.
not about sixes.
So the clue is Kamaljeet Singh, yeah.
Kamaljeet Singh.
Yeah. It should be off spinner for Hyderabad.
There you go. Off spinner for
Very
Hyderabad,
consistent
Kamaljeet
with
Singh.
every season he used to get heaps of wickets.
Okay.
It's
So
amazing,
that's
right?
the clue.
Bihar wasn't playing cricket for a while, and they've
Yeah.
come back into the game. And one of the guys from there is the highest wicket taker at the moment, I think, in the season.
Bum,
Ranji
bum,
season.
bum, 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 bum. So many clues we've given you. Hashtag Crickbuzz Live. That's the handle on Twitter. So if you know the answer, please send it to us on that. And the winner, the first person who gets that right will get. It's amazing.
What a
I mean, that's a
prize,
great
man.
prize.
What a
Great
prize.
prize.
Great
We
prize.
love it. I mean, why wouldn't you just line up out the door for that? And of course, we're going to see you in the innings break. But we have one last bit of business. In the last game with our guesses, so Zach said 280, I said 300, you said 240. You were going very conservative. It got to 288, which was game Zach.
So if 240, I was thinking how India is going to win. See, so you got to 240.
Yeah. So that's in this series. It's 1 to you.
Yeah.
Today's guess. What's Australia going to get? What's it going to be?
260.
260.
I'm going to stick behind Zahir Khan now. Whatever
Line
number
पे
he
लग
said, whatever. थोड़े बढ़ा दो.
Come on, you have to.
Huh?
You have to guess.
थोड़े ज़्यादा.
So 270 is your guess?
At least 280.
280 you're saying. Ooh, I was going to say 280, so I'll have to change mine to 292.
Ooh.
292 is my
You're
guess.
closing on margins. The margins are getting smaller
Margin
and smaller.
was getting tighter.
At least we have a common agenda there here. कि ये इसके आसपास ही होगा.
ये इधर ही होगा कहीं पे.
ये boring हो जाएगा.
India will get it. India will get 300.
Have you taken
There's
into
no problem.
consideration the average score on that
The
ground?
average score is around less than 250, so I've not
Yeah.
taken that into consideration. I've taken
Yeah.
into consideration that if Finch starts hitting, then they'll get there. And I feel like today may be Finch's day.
Yeah.
But we'll still get it. Because we've got the artist and the robot.
Yeah.
You're a good listener. You've been listening to me on the show.
I have, yeah. Sometimes I listen.
Unlike a lot of us.
Yeah, I listen. I'm a good listener. Talk to me. Tell me your troubles. But not now. In the 15th over, when we come back with Crickbuzz Combox. Zahir and Ajay will be here, of course, with that in the 15th over.
Okay.
No? Me? It's good. All right, we'll see who there is. And of course, then we'll see you in the 35th, and then we'll see you in the innings break. That's all we have time for. Big thank you to Ajay Jadeja. Big thank you to Zahir Khan. Thank you so much.
you
I'm
for
Gaurav
having
Kapoor. Thank you for watching Crickbuzz Live. We'll see you soon. Stay tuned.